From Raw and Radical, this is On Display, a podcast about extraordinary women in the arts, their true stories and inspiration. I am Maren Brodbeck, and every episode features a conversation with one great woman in the arts or music. There are dialogues about real-life challenges, exploring what it means to be a woman in creativity. Welcome to Private View. Today we are welcoming Viktoria Binschtok. She is a conceptual artist working with photography. She was born in Moscow and now lives and works in Berlin. She studied photography and media art at the Academy of Visual Art in Leipzig and did a Meisterschüler Studium, which is kind of equivalent to a master. She works with codes, the relationship between reality and imagery. She uses found digital data images that she recreates and she combines it with her own work. She restages photograph and creates her own original compositions. Please welcome Viktoria. Hi Viktoria, welcome to the show. Can you tell me about your time in Leipzig and the school you did there and how it shaped you as an artist and how your work progressed from there on?
Yes, sure. Hi. I moved to Leipzig in the mid-90s, so it was just a few years after the reunification. So it was quite not organized, so it was a mess. Also, the school, they had just get rid of some professors, and some new came from all over Germany, and it was a new situation for both the students but also professors.
Yep.
So most of the students were a bit making their own thing. It was not organized at all, and I think it also shaped to work by myself. So I had no one to tell me what to do.
All right.
And I also worked a lot with my colleagues, and it was like going somewhere and meet people. But then, of course, we had some professors, and they had an impact, I think. Especially my professor, Tim Rautot, I studied with for a long time, for many years. And we had lots of theory also in Leipzig, philosophy and photo theory, and it was quite intense. And I studied for a long time. Maybe because it was not organized, we could stretch this time. So I went there for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
From 95 to 2005, I ended my Meisterschüler Studium, which was on top of my study. And 2005, I was ready after 10 years.
Excellent. But you grew up in the eastern part of Germany, right?
No, in the western part. So,
in the western part.
Yes, I grew up in Minden, Westfalen, which is close to Hanover, and I came there from Moscow with my mom. She married a German, and it was quite a contrast coming from a big city like Moscow. I just remember my childhood memories, so it's far away, but it was from metropolis to a village. And I was searching for the subway and for the possibility to ice skate, but nothing there. So, and I didn't speak German at all, so it was also an experience I made living in a small village, knowing no one, and I didn't speak the language, so everything was for me visual.
I see.
So I tried to get information through photographs. I think this is also where it started, that I became interested in images and tried to find out what I was surrounded by.
Yeah, because in your work you use a lot of visual codes, right? So I was wondering if your life experience in both, the Eastern world in a way and Western world, if you really felt that difference and how did that influence your work with all those codes? Did you see that? Because how old were you when you moved from Moscow?
I was about 6 years old, so it was also that age when I had to go to school. So I went to school, but I didn't speak a word. And I learned very fast. I learned the language very fast. And about the impact in my work, I think, yes, it has an impact. I just realized a couple of years ago that all these circumstances of my early experience living in a world where I didn't have the chance to understand the language, the written language, or the spoken language, I was lost in images. And of course, the Western world was full of ads and commercial images. And this is also how I learned German, through commercials, also on TV.
Oh, interesting.
So my first words were like Waschmaschine or something, washing machine.
Excellent.
Or, all the words I got from TV. And, but now, of course, it's on another level. I'm working with images and on images, and I also still try to understand this imagery we are surrounded by. And I mix up images I do myself with online imagery, which I'm very much interested in, because we know there are so many images online, and they're getting more and more. And I was, from the beginning of digitization, I was interested what's new, what kind of images are there, because we don't see them. We have to open our computer and search for something, but we know there are images and they are circulating, but what is the content? How does digitization also change the content of images?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more like that.
Yeah.
So you use found photography, documentation, you restage, photograph, and you use original composition. So how do you mix them all together, and how do you deal with the question of authorship and originality in your work?
I made different works through my praxis. So the latest work I started in 2015, which I first called Clusters, and now I changed the title to Networked Images. The way I appropriate images here is I upload my own images, which are just a tool to get other people's images. And I use an algorithm which is searching images by images, so no language is related to my search. And this is something I'm really fascinated by, that it's possible to make connection from one image to another and to visualize this net of images. And I decided to start with my own image, because I think this is also something very characteristic, that we share and we take images. And in this case, I share my own image because I upload this, and it is part of this universe now. And then I get the images that are visually related through color or by color or structure or whatever. The algorithm thinks it can be related to my image, and then I restage these images. So I just get the idea, and then I go back into my studio and I restage this found images and make high-end version of this low JPEG. And then I combine my image and the found image, and then I do this works where you don't really have a story behind one certain image. It's more about visual data and about, it's an abstraction on this visual culture. So the more and more I do and work on it through the years, the more you see this cross-section of this visual world. So first of all, I thought, okay, I made this exhibition, and now I can go over to the next project. But then I realized, no, it's not finished yet. It's like an encyclopedia, so I have to work on it, and I'm still working on it because, I don't even know where to end. I don't see any end in it right now. So I have so many images I want to see. What is connected to them.
But see, it's interesting you saying that, because when I look at some of your compositions, when you put different frames together, because of the colors and the shape, it feels almost to me like a storytelling. It really relates to me to storytelling. Yeah. So I feel like when I look at them, there's like a sequence of images that creates a story. So I'm not quite sure of the story, but I can imagine many things when I look at them. And I really like that. And I really like how you compose your image and how you frame them together.
The storytelling, I think it's something very human. Yeah. So we see images and we immediately have some connections to experiences we made, or we try to find a story probably behind it, and I think it's great that it inspires you to think about stories, and this is totally open to stories. I think the work. It just when people ask me, when I'm in an exhibition and people ask me about this or that image, I just tell them, no, I don't have a story for this image. It's a found image, and it relates to another photograph out there, and it's not mine originally. And then I think there is quite a disappointment because people want to hear a story, but this is something more. As I told you, it's more abstract. It's more about a culture than about a certain image and a story behind this certain image.
But I like this idea of not having a story, but yet the image create their own stories by themselves. I like that.
I mean, my images, of course, they have a story, because what I do is I mix up images, and the images I make myself in the physical world, they, of course, can have a certain story. But it's not why I am showing this image. It's not because I want to tell a personal story. It's just, this piece, like in a puzzle. It's just one piece in a whole image, or in a whole puzzle. But this one has no end. So the frames are open to all sides, and I'm still working with each piece, getting this image ready someday.
So when you finished Leipzig, the school there, you went to Berlin. I think you already moved there before the end of the school. You did?
Yes, I moved to Berlin. And then at the same time, I also made my diploma. And then I made a short break, like half a year or something. And I had a grant and went to New York to work there at the ICP, this International Studio and Curatorial Program, for half a year.
Great,
It was really inspiring, and also, eye-opener and mind-blowing and everything. So it was a great time, and also a great possibility to work as an artist for the very first time after studying art.
Yeah. So then you co-created in Berlin an artist-run space with about 20 other artists working with photography and media, such as film, called America Berlin?
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Could you talk a bit about that and how you started with this space, and what was the idea with it, and what did it bring you, how it helped your career?
It was actually the only thing we could do after studying art and not having a gallery, we, the artists, we thought, let's do our own gallery. And this project was defined for 2 years, so we called it America. We were 20 people actually, and finding a name was already a very difficult process. So we found the space. Actually, we ran through Berlin finding a space, which was really easy at that time in 2005, I think.
Yeah.
We started the space. So we found the space. We also hired a gallerist. So we had like a gallerist cast. So we invited different people, and
that's cool.
Yeah, we found a gallerist who was our gallerist at that time. So for 2 years, we defined the space to be our gallery and the gallerist to be our gallerist. And we all put a small amount of money. That's also why we had to be so many people. Not only that we all wanted to support each other, of course, and to emancipate from this commercial gallery hype, whatever. It was also a possibility to share all expenses.
Yeah.
And we made a plan for 2 years, and everyone could show, I think, twice in this 2 years, and double shows, sometimes single shows. So it was mixed, and it was very successful. So
cool.
Yeah.
So it was very organized.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
It was organized, and also because we had also the gallerist, and we actually had 2 gallerists because the gallerist we hired, he also brought up someone else, so they were doing it together. So it was a good time, and I'm not sure if it would work now. So I wouldn't. I can't advise everyone to make this artist-run space, but I think it's always good to organize themselves and to be active and, just try out all the possibilities you have.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how did you do the casting of the galleries? Because usually it's the galleries that do the casting of the artists. So I kind of like this idea.
It was the other way around. Yeah, we all knew some people related to art, so everyone could mention someone, and we had a pool of names, and then we discussed who should we invite. So it was really a discussion, and then we ended up with a couple of names, and then we made this casting sessions, and not all of us together, like not 20 people and one maybe gallerist, future gallerist, but we made some small groups of 3 or 5 people and had these meetings, and then we came together and we just discussed again. We would think would be the best, and then one was the happy winner, and it was a great idea. I still think it was a great idea to do it, and it very much also helped me. I mean, also some others, but not everyone succeeded in terms of being still an artist in this commercial or market art world. But I have still some colleagues I'm working with, or I see sometimes. But some, they do some other jobs now. So it was so-so. But for me, it was really helpful to do this.
Yeah, I think it was very clever, because there's a lot of artist-run space, but most of them don't hire a gallerist. You know, most of them are run by the artist. And
maybe that's a mistake. Because artists should focus on working on their art, and it's already intense working on art, and there's so many things gallerists do much better than an artist. I mean, I think I never sold a piece myself, just without having a gallerist in between, the collector and me. So I don't I'm really bad in talking about money, and I would all give away for free, I think.
Yeah. I can relate to that because I think it's really hard as artists because our work is so personal. I think artwork is so personal. It's so hard to detach yourself from it and go on the other side of, more the commercial side and jump on that side and just sell it as a...
It's a whole other business, I think. So it's an administrative business to, all the phone calls you have to do and all the, art fairs and stuff. I mean, it's not possible to do it as an artist, I think. Yeah, so I'm really happy. I'm working with the gallery actually since more than 10 years now in Berlin, and I'm very happy. I'm glad they do their job, and I'm free to do mine, so it's a good cooperation.
How would you define the relationship you have with your gallery?
I mean, since we started together, the gallery or the career, me as an artist and they as gallerist, so it's very equal and it's almost a friendship, or it's a friendship, I would say. So when you start together, it's like your baby. So it's they are the mothers and I'm the father. So we do it together. So it's, I think, different if you probably get somewhere into a gallery after 10 years, or I don't know, if the gallery already is running and very maybe successful, and then you get in. Yeah. It might be different. I'm not sure. I don't know. I have no experience. I just have this experience with my gallery, and it is great. So we made many good times and also bad times. So we made it through this financial crisis in 2008.
Yeah.
So it was actually in the beginning of the gallery. So we survived a lot of crises. So I think it's great.
So when you started working with your gallery, it was quite a young gallery.
Yes. Yeah. They opened, and I was one of the first artists. So.
Oh, that's nice.
And I think I was the second show. So it was, we didn't know where this journey would go to, and we were young and full of energy.
Yeah.
We still are, but not very young anymore.
Yeah.
But experienced.
That's a nice story. Yeah.
Thanks.
I would like to talk a bit about femininity in your work and the feminine and womanhood, because I noticed that throughout the years, throughout your work, you always include women in your work, or body parts of women, parts of imagery of women. And I wanted to talk with you about the importance of womanhood and femininity in your work, because I feel it's really strong.
I made a work in this networked images, which is called Me Too, where I show a woman's hand holding a smartphone, and you can see the word #MeToo. And I found this image, and it's related to another image that I uploaded, but I found this image and I thought it's so strong, and you don't see anything figurative in it. It's no body part or something. It's just about this hashtag, and it made me just think also about the advantage of also being connected online, and also to empower people, in this case also women, to come together and have this hashtag, and also to be visible.
Yeah, because I mean, some of your work feels, I don't know if I can say it is, but it feels very associated to women and sexuality. For example, Marriage is a Lie, Fried Chicken, where you have this imagery of a red dress, but it's actually a man, right?
Yeah.
A close-up of a red dress, but it's a man. Yeah. It's not a woman. Is that correct, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And it refers to an image of a skirt, of a small skirt with women legs. But when I was restaging this image, I only had a man in my studio. It was my assistant. So he offered me to be the model for this image. And then we tried out and I restaged this image. And I found it so much stronger to have this man in this skirt and having his legs very hairy. But you see it only if you come closer to this image.
Yeah,
so if you
absolutely.
Enter the space and see. It's a work which is much bigger than this one image. So it's a diptych with another image, and it's embedded in a photo, large bitmap photo, and you get maybe attracted to this image, but then when you get closer, you realize, oh, it's a man. And maybe you think about the codes that this image is sending out, and how we see images and are related to some codes.
Yeah, completely. Because another work I'm thinking about is Legs and Knife, which is quite a recent work, where you have 4 images, right? You have 2 close-up of a cutter, and then 2 close-up of legs. I'm not sure they are legs, are they?
Yeah, and the 2 in the middle, they are legs, and they're widespread, but you don't see the middle. So, and the other parts are from a cutter, like a knife. I use in my studio. And I combine it, like I combine images in this networked image series, and it's creating something autonomous out of this image pools, and to see how images are somehow related to each other, and there is no single image. It's always related to something, and it's also how we get information nowadays. So we come from one point to another. So we are always linked to the next information. And this networked image series is the visual answer to this, I think, digital information. So I show something in my work just visually, but it's related to digitization and how information is part of our lives and leads you sometimes to something you didn't even thought about, could be next to another.
Yeah, but would you say that this work has a connotation with feminism and the feminist movement that is happening now? Because symbolically it's pretty strong. You know, inner legs, inner thigh, knife, red, there's lots of symbols.
Yes, I know. It could be, but I don't, as it's just one part of a bigger series and a bigger analysis of this image world. It's just a part of it. But of course, I would consider myself as a feminist, so yes, I also choose these images, of course, to show them and to be part of this series, but the whole thing is not only about feminism, but they are part of it. You can read, so this is also the openness of this project. It's open to ideas and things you see in it, so
reflections.
Yes, so it can be very much read as a feminist transportation of images.
Yeah. Would you say that during your career you felt you were a woman, or you were ever confronted to the situation where you were undermined or maybe not looked at because you were a woman? Or did you ever had the feeling that working as a woman was harder than a man to be recognized, to be looked at, or, to have recognition in your work?
Yes, I think, not only through my career as an artist, also as a student, I always felt it's being a woman and working in this field is also a struggle, and I made many bad experiences also, because many men also decide about careers or about your work.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot, and I didn't give up, so I developed strength. So I think every woman makes this experience, I guess, in the field where men are more visible. Of course, in the beginning, we are like in the art school, it was very equal. We were like 50% or even more women. But then, all of a sudden, when you get out, you are confronted with all the men, and then you realize, that's hard work to do to get through this. But I think right now people realized, also men realized, it shouldn't be the way it was, and things are happening. It changes now, I think, and also when, like in group shows, curators are more aware of who they invite, and they can't just make all boys shows anymore. So, people realize it has to be changed. Yeah,
people start to notice.
Yes.
Yeah, and pay more attention.
Yes, let them pay more attention, and also I get invited sometimes for panels or conferences, and it's really mixed now. So I remember being one of the few female speakers or artists and invited to shows or conferences. So this changed very much. But still, there is so much more to do, and I hope one day we don't even think about it. So, it will be just equal. This is also what I'm, working on.
What would you say to all the other women artists that are listening to us? What advice would you give them to make a mark for themselves? What would you say to them?
It's difficult to give advices from me because I think it should be so natural just to work on what you're doing and don't think too much about this man and woman, but always be aware and always, always take your piece of the cake, I would say. Don't even hesitate not to be part of the party, and just go on for your rights. And everyone should be able to be part of it. So it's, gender, I think gender or nationality or whatever categories they are so historical. So it's not, there is no advice, I think. It's just...
keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, right? Please.
You are a mother of 2 boys, 11 years old and a 6-year-old. How did you juggle motherhood, the artist life, the career? Has it been easy, difficult? What were your main challenges? And how did being a mother fed your own art? Or did it not?
Well, I don't even know how to answer this, because I think you could also ask my boyfriend, the father of the boys, how he's doing it with all this work and the kids. I'm happy that I have a partner who's also doing the same amount of work I do with the kids, and he's also working. So we somehow made it so far, and I think for me it was always important to work, so I didn't just interrupt or stop working. And I think it's also better for the kids to see me working, because when I'm at home, like when I'm sick or whatever, I can be really not easy to deal with. So they're happy to see me at work, and then I'm happy to come back home, and I really love spending time with them, but only after also having a great working period. So it's both. And in Germany we have this or in Berlin it's actually possible to have daycare very early. So this is what we did. We put our babies into daycare the whole day. So like in other parts of Germany, you can put your kids, I think, after 3 years in daycare, but here you can start like after 4 weeks or something and have a daycare mother. And so I'm really thankful for having all these daycare mothers taking care of my kids while I was working and coming back home happily. And
so you were able to keep your practice.
Yeah, and I don't think having kids or family very much changed my work or content-wise. I don't think there was any change, but working now is more, it's a structure I have now since I have kids. I have this time frame and I can work from 8 to 5 or something, and I try to do as much as I can in this time frame. And before it was really open end, and I could sleep in my studio and party and whatever, but I didn't make more work, I think. So it was just not that focused in this amount of time. So I think I'm more. They made me more organized, or organized in this time.
In the time you have, and
yes, and the time I have
to let you have your own space, which is essential.
And of course, having kids, or also you don't have to have kids your own, but also having contact with kids is also inspiring to see things differently. So sometimes I just realize when they ask something or they discover something, I just discover things again and see something different in ordinary life. And this is very inspiring. Yeah.
Cool.
So I also like to see images with them, so what they see in images. And sometimes I also show my work and they judge me, or they see something I didn't see before. So we are also in conversation about my work sometimes.
And kids are pretty honest, right? They're ruthless about what they think. They don't take gloves. And sometimes they want me to include their images in my work. So they say, you can also use mine. And I make all the money and spend it on sweets, of course. I really love this image, and it is called Golden Horn and Golden Cases. And I think it's actually really sexual, no?
Now that you say it, I can see what you mean, but it's it wasn't meant that way. So this is again also from this networked images. So just accidentally clashing two images together. In this case, they overlap. And they are just visual analogies. So there are different forms and shapes. When I arrange them, I'm really open to any kind of form they can take. So I work in my studio and I try out a lot of things before I decide how they will, which form they will get in the end. So in this case, it's this very strange format and overlapping. And before starting this cluster and networked images series, I worked very much more in series, which I started and completed after a while. So it's something new to do something over a long period of time, to focus on something. And it's, I think, it's the fact that I'm working on visual culture, and visual culture is so, there is no beginning and no end, and it develops all the time. So this could be also like, I don't want to say it's a never-ending project, but for me, it's still so inspiring every day. And I also want to document through my work certain developments. Like with the Me Too piece, I also make a statement on a certain time in our culture when this hashtag appeared. And so you definitely know this image couldn't be before 2018. It couldn't have done before. So it also marks a certain point in our history. So images are, so to speak, indicators of our time. And this is what I'm interested in very much. So the reflection on the time we live in through images.
I'm very curious about your use of colors, because I really like how you juxtapose, use colors. I'm really myself into colors. I love color. And I was wondering if you can talk a bit about colors and the importance of color in your work, because obviously it is important. And how do you see color? How do you use it?
The images that I choose for my project, which is a collaboration between me and the algorithm. The images that I use, they have to be a little bit of, not easy to read, because the algorithm, if the algorithm would get an image of a landscape, it would be very boring, because it would just deliver all the landscape images immediately. So I have to be cryptic in my selection of images, and I crop very much. So most of the images that I upload are cryptical details of something, of images I made myself. Or sometimes I just focus on a little detail. So the machine or the artificial intelligence doesn't immediately realize what it is analyzing. So it gives me a more open, content-wise open results. And color, I play with the colors because I want to show a wide range of colors and shapes and forms, just to be not concentrated on one thing. This is why you see so many different colors in this work. It's a variety of colors I'm also interested in. So when I had the red color, like for instance in Marriage is a Lie, Fried Chicken, that was very much the red cluster. Then I go to another color and another detail in my archive. So I'm searching for something completely different. And in the end, like if I would get a retrospective one day, I wish I could show as many colors and shapes as possible. So this is my vision. So working with the medium of photography for so many years, I mean, I started in the 90s with studying photography, and I'm still working with this medium, and it's developing all the time. So when I started, it was the analog process, so it was very much just a chemical definition of photography, and it always was connected to something in the real world, like a footprint of something outside. But now, or since digitization, there is no proper definition, and people are, and like me too. I'm also still searching for a description, and there's so many books on it and theories. And how can we define photography nowadays?
Yeah.
And I'm still learning a lot and thinking about the medium. And always when I think I got it, the next step is next step is there, and then again I have to think about the new development, like for instance with smartphones and social media. Also these tools had a major impact on photography.
Absolutely.
Again. So then I'm spending time thinking about this impact on photography, and so technology shapes this so much, and I think it's something I'm working on, and it's still very exciting also to see how it develops. It feels like a lifetime thing to think about.
Yeah, that's true. Since the early days, since the beginning of photography, people using the medium have created images that completely relate to the possibilities of the time. So the artist, in a way, has evolved with the medium. And now we arrive at a time with digital photography where we can choose our perfect color so much easier than before, where we were more dependent on, the technology.
On the color palette.
So it gives a humongous freedom where everything becomes possible now. And that's also quite interesting.
Yeah. And also, it took me a while to shoot digital, because although it was possible already working digitally, I was still, somehow I had this relationship to my analog equipment, and I didn't make the step. But at one point I couldn't refuse this possibility anymore. So I started to shoot digitally, and now I mix it up. So sometimes I also use film. So it's both, and I think this is for me the way to work. So I choose the medium I'm working with depending on the image or the project I have in mind. So it's a crossover between all these possibilities, and also about manipulation, because people sometimes ask me, did you manipulate this image? And I don't know what it means to manipulation. What does it mean in terms of photography? Is it something bad? Or I think technology implies already the manipulation in it. So you can change, colors and contrast you could change already earlier, and also make collage and whatever. I do change images the way I want, just, to show my vision.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and I think in the contemporary art world, the words and the wording we use with digital photography makes a lot of a difference. The way we use, is it manipulated, or is it reworked, or is it, all those wording make a big difference in the way our work is perceived, or in the way we want our work to be perceived. So, because they can be a negative connotation sometimes.
Yeah, I think, because, people still think about this authenticity. They the medium was related to for so many years,
Yeah.
and showing something which they called the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's
we know it's obsolete, and
completely.
Yeah, this is what I'm always thinking about, and that makes photography as a medium so exciting for me.
Yeah.
And I also love to see younger artists and a younger generation of artists who grew up with digital possibilities, who don't even started with analog chemicals and whatever, and see how they deal and what they find is interesting to show, and their concepts I'm very much interested in. So I also see a lot of art and other artists, and get inspired also by their visions.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
On Display is produced by Raw and Radical, an inspirational movement, resource and community for women who want to be creative and live a creative life. You can find out more about the artists on this series by going to rawradical.com. Please leave us a comment and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It truly helps other people discover the show. Please visit us and subscribe to our newsletter to get updates and more goodies. I am Maren Brodberg. Thanks for listening.